Well, hello. Hello, Saturday, May 2nd. That was Leah Shaw, Scott Shaw's daughter. Um, yeah, um, Scott Shaw's only daughter, I guess. How we doing today? Might be a real short day, it looks like. I see one person is out there. Who is out there? And would you like to come on the panel? If not, I have nothing really on the agenda. So I'll give it a 30 seconds or so, and I got some things I could do. Hello, Donnie. Yeah, yeah, I don't know what's happened to this program. I can only see the comments. I can't see it in StreamYard anymore. I don't know what I changed. Hey, Cindy. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. I don't know really how long we're going to do today because there's just unless there's any questions or someone wants to come up or it's a little awkward, I guess. Just looking at my screen. That a little scary actually. Don't like doing it. Cindy, how are you today? Did you get a good night's sleep last night? Were you up late? Well, I got a few people trickling in now. I think the link is up. Let me put the link up again in case it's not. Something has changed in this program. I imagine I did it somehow, but I don't see the comments from you guys on the StreamYard side. I do see them on the YouTube side. I mean, on the Facebook side. So, looks like we might get off the hook and be a pretty short show. It's beautiful and rainy up here. Actually, the sun is just coming out, but it rained hard today. It was just gorgeous. It was a loud coming down hard rain, which I enjoy. What am I up to? Not a lot today, Cindy. I did some. No, that's not me. I did a post office delivery today. I put a sale on Instagram yesterday and actually got a really good response from it. Hey, Dave, good to see you. So I packed up, I think it was about 125 pounds of plant nutrients and shipped them off. Yeah, you're a rain person too, Cindy. Yeah, I think Pisces by any chance? Are you a water sign? I don't know if that means anything, but there's a lot of rain people in our family, and there's also a lot. I imagine Dave would be one of them. I don't know if Dave's ever lived in a rainy place, but Fontana's not that rainy. I don't know how many inches they get a year, but yeah, I think it's kind of dry. So what's going on, Dave? You mentioned earlier you had what, 6 dogs? You got 6 dogs going on. I know you were always an animal guy. You had birds and various. You were an animal guy, and I like that. That's kind of cool. What kind of dogs you got, Dave? How about dogs for a topic? Yes, I thought you were a Pisces, Cindy. I thought you were. Nope, you don't have 6 dogs. Okay. I can't. I don't have access to putting your comments on the screen anymore, which is kind of a shame. Yes, the nopes and the yes. I'm going to. I don't know what that means, but hey, a zoo. Okay. Yes, you did. So the link is up, everybody. Can you see the link? I'll put it up there again just in case we have something interesting going on somewhere else in California or maybe Nashville or Scotland, possibly. Yeah, tell us about that zoo, Dave. Come on up. Either come on or type it in. We would love to hear about your zoo. We ain't got a whole lot else going on, my man. Would love to hear about your zoo. I'm gonna eat. I have a couple otter pops on deck, which I enjoy too much. So, who else is out there? Let us know what's going on. Does anybody recognize my background? This one, it looks, it's old timers. There should be some old timers who might watch this show recognize that background. They should. So, what's going on out there today, guys? Saturday? What you doing? SF. Susie in here? No. Oh, Joe said SF, as in answering a question. I gotcha. No, that's not SF. Hey, Susie Harriger, good to see you. That's not Chico either. Well, that's not Chico behind me. I imagine it will only be one of the old timers who get this one. I'm wondering if they recognize it from their youth. I'm stretching here. Okay. Susie, good to see you. What's going on in Fontana? Rainy? It's rainy here. 3 labs. 1 St. Bernard, 1 Shepherd, and 1 Chihuahua. So you got one big dog in there, huh? That Chihuahua probably thinks it's the big dog, doesn't it? Yeah, I like big dogs. St. Bernards would get pretty big. Looks like New York, looks like Chicago. Nope. Getting closer though. Getting a little closer. Thank you for participating, by the way. What else we got to do? We could roll some dice or something. Play some cards, do some card tricks. What do you guys have in mind? It's sunny and 80 degrees in Fontana. How's the weather in Chico, California, Donnie? Or Terry? Good to see you, Terry. They're not all yours. I gotcha. I got a bunch of animals too. I think I've counted 7 chickens and I don't know how many ducks. And I'm just about any day now, I'm going to get some new baby ducks. I'm going to treat myself to a little happiness and joy with baby ducks, because baby ducks are just about the cutest things in the world. The only little issue is between the time they're born and the time I got to get them in, because they're in a nest that's not in a secure location yet. So there's a little, it's a kind of rough period. I got to make sure I catch them within a few hours. Otherwise, predators will get little baby ducks. And that's the bad part, but I'm on it. I'm on it. Did you survive political night? No. The answer is no on that one. Yeah, Donnie, you missed it's rainy up here. It poured down right now. The sun is peeking out of the sky a little bit. It's one of those days where the plants will grow quickly. Good rain and then the sun. So what's going on, everybody? Killing me, Smalls. Need a little help up here. And if this looks like the dream job, and you have a PC, actually I was talking to Uncle Joe about this today. I would like to khaki, you got it. Khaki, I thought Khaki might get this one. That is Denver, Colorado. That's right. You remember that building, Khaki? I'm curious. I think this was a picture from the 50s, and I'm not sure what years you were there, but that is Denver, Colorado. You might even be able to tell me the street. I don't know that. But getting back to my point, Uncle Joe has a PC, and I'm going to have him download that StreamYard, or I'm hoping I will, and we'll get him to be one of these guys who has the power of the buttons. David D, it's good to see you. How's Christy doing? By the way, I don't know if I should talk about that kind of thing. Christy, well, I guess I started to, and it'd be kind of, I don't think she would mind. She got bit by a dog. I hope that's okay to say, but yeah, that's why David had to go to the emergency room the other night, a couple nights ago, and I hope she's recovering just fine. I hope she is. Thank you, David. I already did. The lag. I'm blaming it on the lag. Okay. Yeah, Chrissy got bit, I think, right in the face, and I think she might have, a tooth went through her tongue. Even it was a neighbor's dog, but I don't think it was a vicious thing. Take care, Cindy. Enjoy your afternoon. It was just, I don't know. The dog snapped at her and got her. There you go. See, bit through her tongue and stitches in the face. It wasn't just I don't think it was probably kind of traumatic. I would guess. What's a sulcata? Dave, what is one of those? 3 red ear sliders and fish in a pond. I don't know what 3 red ear sliders are, but yeah, you got a zoo. I got a wild peacock. How about that? That I just get a feed every morning. So what's going on? Let me drop that link again, because obviously I need some help up here. This looking at me at the computer screen is it's cool for a couple seconds. After that, it kind of is not anymore. Is Uncle Joe out there? He was going to go look at some baby geese, I think it was. Oh, they're turtles. Okay, you do have quite a menagerie of animals. So Joe Hurd. I don't know what that means. So Joe Hurd. It's kind of a puzzle reading these things. Between autocorrect and no subject in the line and misspelled words, sometimes it's a little tricky to decipher. Now we got a Google search. For sulcata. See, Donnie's on this. I need, some of the good podcasts, they have someone in the background Googling stuff all the time, which actually makes it kind of interesting sometimes. Fact checking real time, so to speak. So I've heard. I don't know what that means, but I guess it's not that important that I get everything. I could let that go. So we're starting to get a couple of viewers coming into the house. This is a lot longer than I want to go by just yapping. I would like to hear some stories, some grateful stories. David, would you like to come on and talk about what happened to Christy? Dave, would you like to come on and talk about your sulcata? Donnie, are you ready to help me out? All those people who did come on that political show. I appreciate that. That's not always easy to do, for sure. And I think at the end I don't know. I thought it wasn't so bad. Christian's dog bite. I don't know. David's eating. Okay. He's one of my regulars. I'm starting to lose one of these. It's starting to leak. So Bear with me while I eat a snack. So, I don't know how many more times I can say that. Who's out there who would like to come on? Is everyone shy today? Susie? I don't want to beg. I don't want to, but you know what? I will. I do sometimes. Not proud of it. I've begged a time or two. Don't like to, but I have. There we go. My goodness. An angel of mercy has appeared. Let's hear about those baby geese.
Oh yeah, so there's this like a bird sanctuary about 10 miles south of town. So all winter I've been going out there like every 3 weeks, and every time I go out there, it changes. There, yeah. So there's different birds, different times you go out, different birds. And the last time I went out 3 weeks ago, the birds were mostly all gone, and the only thing left, I mean, there was tens of thousands of birds. These lakes where they're at are probably, I don't know, thousands of acres big. It's like a mile, 4 of them like a mile across. Anyway, so I go out there 3 weeks ago, and all there was little families. It was like all the birds took off except the mothers that had babies. So here and there you just see these mother geese walking around with 4, 5, 6 little chicks following them, trying to keep up. So it was really cute. I enjoyed that. So I go out there today just to see how the chicks have grown. And what's happened is this time of the year they let those lakes dry out. It's like rice paddies. So there's not much left. But what I noticed was all the birds there were like they looked like teenagers. Like the babies were half grown, but the bigger ducks were gone. So I assumed when the mother ducks would stick around till the babies could fly, then they would all take off together. But that's obviously not how it goes. Mothers, I think, then father, I think they all took off a couple of weeks ago, and it's all these kids, a few hundred kids out there running around, and I guess they're just kind of left on their own so they can fly, and then they kind of figured out. So it's kind of interesting. Go out there every 2, 3 weeks, and it's completely different. I'm learning a little bit about the cycle of life. Saw a couple otters in the water today. I'd never seen that out there before. Yeah, that was my day.
That's interesting. I don't know if you heard earlier, as I'm letting my ducks hatch a clutch of eggs. So that's there any day now. I'm checking almost every couple hours I go out there because I don't want to get, the crows and various animals will come pick baby ducks off in a heartbeat. So
do you have raccoons?
I do.
Oh.
My dog, I haven't had a raccoon problem in probably over a year, but they're inevitable when you have free range animals. They're inevitable. That's I'd much rather. It doesn't bother me a whole lot when a raccoon kills a duck or a chicken. Just that's nature. It's a lot easier for me to deal with that than doing it myself.
Do you still have your dogs?
I do, but they're old and don't hear very well. You can come in my house and you have to pet them before they know someone's in the house.
Oh.
So they used to actually walk, go get raccoons and chase them and get them out of the yard. That they were really good, but they're a little old for that. Maybe it's time for another dog or two. I'm going to lose one here pretty soon. I'm pretty sure. My oldest, Dutch. He's old. He's old. He's old. It's tough. It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another dog would probably do the trick.
But it's tricky.
You got to get the right kind of dog. Don't get a Schnauzer.
Well, and a lot of dogs they want to eat. They want to eat ducks and chickens.
Yeah.
And mine actually they get along with them just fine. And I don't know how rare that is, but I've been that's what kept me from getting chickens for a long time. I thought my dogs would just eat them, but they never did. Very fortunate.
Well, I sure don't want to get another dog, but if I do, it's probably going to happen because one's going to get me. This morning I went up to Safeway, and there was this little mixed breed mutt running around the parking lot, and I hate to see things like that. And he ran up to me, and I was petting him, and he was shaking. And then the couple of guys that worked there, they were out cleaning the carts, and they said, "Yeah, he's been here about an hour." And anyway, I went in, and I thought if he's still out there when I come out, I got to take him. Whether I keep him or take him to the pound, I can't let him be running around the parking lot. So I kind of took my time in the store because I didn't want him to be out there when I went out. I didn't want to have to deal with it, but I knew I'd have to deal with it. So when I ran out, he wasn't there. And I thought, okay, that's good. He's gone. But if I see him, I got to get him. So I kind of looked around the parking lot as I was driving out. I didn't see him. So I don't know what happened, if somebody else took him or what. So I dodged a bullet there because that's how I'm going to end up with another dog. If I see a dog that's been dumped or he's on the side of the road, I can't ignore that. I can't.
No, I inherited both my dogs at different times, and that's what I'm kind of doing too. I'll take a couple cats right now. I'll take a couple dogs. I got plenty of love and plenty of space. I'm very fortunate. I got a lot of space. So
the only dog I'll ignore on the side of the road is those little Chihuahuas. And funny enough, strange enough, 3 times I pulled over because there was a stray Chihuahua. One was the freeway, 2 was on Nord Avenue. And you get out, and when you try to call them, they turn around and run out in the street. They won't come up to you. And all 3 times they almost got killed because I was trying to catch them. So after that, if I see a Chihuahua, I just leave them to their own devices.
yeah, little dogs are worse with yard birds than the big ones, I think. But Shelly brought a couple of her little dogs over once, and they ran out my backyard, and they looked like greyhounds chasing those ducks, and they caught them. Like I got one that had its neck in its mouth. I was like, "Sorry, buddy, boy, not on my watch."
Something like a working dog would be a good one to get for that.
No,
would be awesome.
And I'm not a big fan of purebreds because I think that they're basically you got to inbreed to get them, and they have a lot of problems, medical problems. I think getting a good mixed breed is what I always like to get.
Yeah, and if you get them as a puppy, and then you can kind of train them.
And that's another thing. Puppies are not dogs. Puppies and dogs behave completely differently. They're different. They're almost different animals, for a year and a half or so. And then dogs are nice. Puppies are a pain in the butt. They're cute, but they're a lot of work.
Yeah, and they're destructive.
They're very destructive. Very destructive.
Chew up your carpet. They'll chew up your furniture. They'll chew up your clothes. They'll chew up your books. I remember going through that.
And that's why I'm always a big fan of getting 2. Especially litter mates, because
if you're gonna have a dog, you got to have 2
because they spend so much energy on each other that you lose a little. What you do lose a little loyalty, but I'm willing to give that up for them to have to have companionship because dogs love dogs probably as much as they love people.
Yeah,
they do. That's my opinion only, editorial.
Well, I agree 100%. That's why I got a second dog after I got Freddie, and then I got a second one right away because I realized I can't keep up with this puppy. So,
how long did you have Freddie?
What's that? How long did I have him? 14 years.
You were pretty close to Freddie, weren't you?
Yeah. I had them both up at your house one time.
Yeah.
Freddie was awesome. That was fun. It was a fun 14 years, but not to do it again.
No, no. I don't know. It's tough. It's dogs give you, like, I think Dennis said this. Dogs give you 1,000 days of happiness and 1 day of really bad sorrow, or a couple of, it's tough to lose a dog. Yes, sis, this conversation is about you. You need to get another dog. You'd be so much happier. That's all I'm saying. No, it really isn't about you. But I think it is. I think it is a truism. Welcome, sis. Good to see you. We're getting ready for Dean's birthday in a few days.
I thought Dean had his birthday.
It's the 5th.
5th of May, huh?
5/5.
I think my daughter Lisa's the 7th.
How old is she now?
I think she's going to be 35.
Isn't that crazy?
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's 35. I can't keep up with those things. I got to start doing math in my head.
Yeah.
I'm not good with birthdays. There's a few that I know, but I never do my mom and dad's birthday.
December, there's just about one every day in December. I know that.
Yep. Yeah, at least 20 of them.
And yeah, I know mine. I always remember mine.
Is Donnie out there?
Donnie is out there.
Oh, come on. I want to tell her something.
Donnie, come on. Joe wants to tell you something. I guess I don't have to repeat that.
If she doesn't want to come on, I'll just tell her anyway.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay, you sure she's out there?
She was a minute ago. Check in, Don. Check in, Donnie Hershey.
It's too much to talk about if she ain't there.
Okay.
John.
Okay, I guess we gossiped a little too much. Okay, I won't read that out loud if Dean is listening. I'll let that be. Sorry, Dean. Oh, here we go. Here we go, Joe. Your wish, you get your wish. Can you hear us, Donnie? I
can't see her yet.
There you go. Look at that hairdo. Actually, that hair looks good, Don.
Yeah, you look great.
Can't hear you though.
Can't hear you.
There's always little snafus once in a while. Once in a while, there's snafus.
Can you hear me, Don? Shake your head, yes.
Leave and come back. Sometimes that'll fix things. Yes, we can't hear Donnie. We can't hear her. There's the Don I know.
She said she's going to put her earrings on.
Oh,
or earplugs.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how that helps her microphone.
I don't know either. That's a good point. Oh, still don't hear you, young lady. Leave and come back. Sometimes that, for whatever reason, that helps. So, are you thinking about taking this program and doing a little moderation yourself?
No.
Yes, you are.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, you are.
You're a pro. I'm not.
Well, yeah. Watch me sweat bullets up here.
Sit here and say boring shit, and that ain't gonna work.
You know what it turns out, Joe? That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I swear. Trust me on that one. Oh, but yeah.
I can come up with more card tricks for your show.
Well, you know what? I wish, I really liked a cooking show. I think we have a lot of creative and talented people. I would like to, we even do maybe Scott do a little bit of music. I think there's a lot of things we can explore here, Joe. And I don't know what else to do. I don't have all the ideas.
There is. We could do a what grinds my gears hour.
Yes, that's
What grinds my
boom,
gears.
boom. Well, let's do it. That's what grinds my gears. 5 minutes. What you got for grinding gears?
Grinding gear. What grinds my gears? I don't know. Pick a subject. I'll come up with something. I'm a pretty negative guy.
Traffic. What grinds your gears in traffic?
Well, the worst one, like I said the other day, is tailgaters. I just I'm very conscious of that. Maybe because I don't have great reflexes. I believe in the when you're on the highway, 1 foot for every mile per hour, or a car length for every 10 miles per hour. So if you're going 60 miles on the freeway, you got to keep 6 car lengths. And I swear I'd be on the freeway doing 60 or 70, and there'll be some guy 5 feet behind me.
Now, is that in the fast lane or the slow lane?
Either one.
Oh, see,
And
that
if I'm wanting to pass, I'm the first guy to pull over. If I'm on a mountain highway and somebody comes up behind me, I'm usually pulled over before they catch up. I anticipate it. I don't want to hold anybody up.
okay.
But yeah, the whole thing about tailgating is in martial arts, they call it the critical zone. And this applies to everything. We're using the critical zone with social distancing. It's 6 feet. Well, in martial arts, it's 6 feet. So you learn if you're having a standoff with somebody or somebody's challenging you, you keep 6 feet away from them because 6 feet gives you time to react. So if they're right in your face, the first one to react wins. You get kneed in the groin, you get punched in the throat or whatever. If they're 6 feet away, if they lunge, you've got options to know what to do or even turn around and run. But at 6 feet away, he can't kick you. He can't do nothing. So as they come forward, you get further back. So it's very important, the critical zone, because 2 guys in each other's face having a standoff, the first one to react wins. Knee to the groin, head bunt, first one wins, not the best one. On driving, it's the same thing. You got a critical zone. So if you're 10 feet behind somebody and they're doing 70 miles an hour, if they slam on the brakes, you're hitting them. There's no way you're not hitting them. You can have the fastest reflexes in the world. You're slamming into them. So that's what that critical zone is for. So the guy in the back has time to react no matter what you do. And that critical zone kept me and Brady out of a nasty car wreck a year and a half ago when we were in Arizona, because everybody was driving really close and I was keeping a distance, and all of a sudden everybody was slamming on their brakes because there was a road stop. This is a freeway. As soon as I saw that happening, I had time to get off the road, over onto the shoulder. The truck, 2 cars behind me, slammed the car that slammed the car behind me. It went right by me, slammed the car in front of me. It was about a 5-car pile up. Some old people were hurt really bad, but it's because everybody was tailgating. I wasn't. I didn't get involved in the wreck. So yeah, that grinds my gears. Tailgate.
What about old people? Old people drivers.
Was that
Old people drivers.
old people drivers?
Yeah.
Yeah, they bug me too. I don't know. I think everybody's supposed to drive just like me,
Yeah, I know.
I think I'm the best driver in the world. If everybody drove like me, we'd all be fine.
Actually, I'm kind of proud to say in the last, I don't know, 7, 8 years, it's been one of the first times in my life where I haven't been, like I call the rotation cycle of having a ticket. You get a ticket, you plead not guilty, you set a court date, you go to the court date. It's a long process. And this is and I haven't got, I used to be one of those bad drivers. got a lot of speeding tickets throughout the years. I hated them, but I got them, and I'm proud to say I haven't in a long time, and it's kind of nice to be out of that cycle.
Yeah, I remember I was good for a ticket every other year. Then by my 40s, it was a ticket every 5 years. I think in my 50s, I got one ticket. Now it's been about 10 or 15 years. And I don't know if that's because I'm paying better attention or if the cops just aren't as quick to pull over an old person. For one thing, every ticket, I never got a ticket for doing anything dangerous. And I think a lot of us can say this. It seems like it's cops will give you a ticket because you broke the law on a technicality. Like the last one I got, it was rolling through a stop sign, and I was like 99.9% stopped. I even saw the cop parked right there, but she said, your wheels didn't come to a complete stop. This is up in California Park in a neighborhood. It was a four-way stop. She said, your wheels, I could, getting a black screen. She said, I could still see your wheels kind of rolling. And, it seems like every ticket I ever got, it's because I broke a technicality, but I wasn't doing anything stupid. 10 miles an hour over the speed limit out in the middle of nowhere, stuff like that. Going through an orange light, just a little too late. The worst one I ever got was back in San Bernardino. I was out on Baseline, right at that corner where the Baseline Theater is. And back then I had hair down to here. And cars were just going like 35 miles an hour. No stop sign, no stoplight. We were just driving, moving along. All of a sudden I got pulled over. And the cop said, you didn't see that guy standing on the corner waiting to cross at the crosswalk? I said, no. He said, well, when somebody's at a crosswalk, you got to stop. Well, it was heavy traffic. Nobody was going, but he picked me out. And I remember I threw my wallet on the ground and cussed him out.
No, the long hair could have been a target. I got a rash for a while. I got a rash of no seatbelt tickets because it just bugged me. It's like that. If I don't want to wear a seatbelt, I don't want to wear a seatbelt. And I fought it. And I remember griping about it in the teacher's lounge one day. And someone said, just wear a seatbelt. It was like I had an epiphany. I said, it's a good idea. So I've worn a seatbelt ever since. And no more seatbelt tickets. It was that easy. Why don't you wear a seatbelt, dumbass?
I never got one of those, but I'm pretty good with seatbelt. I think when you have kids, it makes you more aware of stuff like that.
Yeah. Here we go. We got. Let's see if our sound is. We're griping about it in the teacher's lounge one day. And someone said, "Just wear a seatbelt." It was like I had an epiphany. I said,
you there?
I got a idea. So I got to mute her. I'm muting you, Donnie, because you got a loop going on. You're watching both shows at once. So let's try that again. Well, everything's working really slow. Hold on here. I'm having issues. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Joe?
I hear you, yeah.
Okay. Donnie, I'm trying to yeah, she got locked up here, but we'll see what happens. Let her try that again. But yeah, Donnie, please don't watch this on another channel. It's miserable. Yeah, it's good. Actually, my insurance rates have gone way down too. I think I paid like, I don't know, $135 for 6 months, which is let's try that again. Here we go. Maybe we'll get these questions answered. Can you hear us, Donnie? Can you hear us? Hello?
Don?
Yeah, I think there's some buffering issues and we still can't hear you. This is when you get, this is what you get, this is, by the way, folks, this is what you get, what you pay for, by the way. Sorry, Don, we can't hear you.
Don, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I was going to tell you. Raise your hand if you hear me. Okay, do you remember about 20 years ago? You had, I think you came over to my house and had dinner, and Laura Burkhart was there, and she had her son Kyle. And Kyle was trying to break into Hollywood and doing voiceovers and stuff like that. And we kind of just introduced you to. He was about your age. Do you remember that? Shake your head no or yes. Hello? Yes? No? And now you're kind of frozen. That you don't remember Kyle? He was an actor. Now you're gone. Hello.
Sorry, Joe. Let's see here.
God, now I know how you feel.
I know, huh? It's a little awkward.
That's a lot of responsibility.
It's crazy responsibility. Don't take it lightly.
Anyway, I'll go ahead and finish story. I'll assume Donnie's listening. So Donnie came over for dinner about 20 years ago, and a friend of mine, Laura Burkhart, she's a local realtor. A lot of people know her. Her oldest son, Kyle, who is Donnie's age, at the time was trying to break into Hollywood as an actor and a comedian and voiceover. And he was getting little jobs here and there. And anyway, I haven't kept up much with Laura over the years, but she's on my Facebook. And I was watching a show the other night. What is it? Good Girls. Anybody ever watch Good Girls?
I don't. I haven't.
Anyway, it's a TV show. I don't know what channel it's on. I watch it on Netflix. So I'm watching Good Girls, and there's this salesman. It's just kind of a bit part, and I'm looking at him, and I'm going, "My God, that's Kyle." You know, this guy's got a little cameo part, and he's dealing with the main actors, and he's a salesman in a store, and they're trying to rip him off. And so I wrote to Laura, and I said, I saw Kyle on Good Girls. It looks like he's getting some work in Hollywood. And she wrote back, she said, yeah, check out the movie Lazy Susan. So I looked up Lazy Susan. It's a brand new movie, and I rented it. And Kyle has a major role in it with Sean Hayes from Will and Grace. And so, yeah, Kyle has a major role. And then she sent me a link where he's doing a cartoon voiceover of Alvin and the Chipmunks. And his voice is Dave, the main guy that has the chipmunks. And so she sent me a snippet of that cartoon, Alvin and the Chipmunks, and Kyle's the voice of Dave. And then along with it, she sent me Kyle's phone number, and she said, pass this on to Donnie if Donnie's still doing voiceover. So I've been meaning to do that. I'll do it. I'll just pass it on to you, Don, and you can check it out and do with it what you will.
Actually, Donnie is responding. She has Laura on the Facebook, and she knew about Good Girls because she knows Matt Lillard.
Oh,
so yeah.
Check out the movie Lazy Susan. He has a semi-major part. He's in and out of that whole movie, and yeah, he does pretty good. I was surprised.
I got a question for you, Mr. Joe Shaw.
Sure.
Like your opinion on this. It's just going to be an opinion piece. What do you think it is about celebrities that we find so compelling or because it's a crazy phenomenon. Like if you meet a celebrity that actually you could feel good about it, or you know what's the deal with celebrity? What do you have a thought about that?
Well, you know, we always seem to be attracted to talented people, but for some reason, celebrity and rock stars seem to be a more draw than other talented people. And, I don't know. I think we just project a lot of fantasy into the whole thing. And in our mind, we fantasize that there's something more than they really are. And Donnie would know about that. And I've met 3 or 4 celebrities in my life, and it doesn't take long to realize they're just regular people. They're they're short usually, and they're not any smarter than you are, and they don't have anything more interesting to say than anybody else. And you realize, oh, you're just a regular person. So yeah, I think it has to do with we fantasize that there's something more to them than there really is, and that's why we get all goofy about meeting them. But there really isn't anything more to them other than they have a really good ability to do this one thing. But Danny Dietz has a really good ability to make furniture, and probably I would consider Danny a world-class furniture maker. But I don't know that anybody would fantasize about meeting him. But if you're talking talent.
Yeah, well, see, I might counter that. I think there's a lot of untalented celebrities as well as rock stars. I think it's more than the talent, like you said, because we know some very talented people, and they don't give you the heebie-jeebies. Like, it's a weird phenomenon. I was thinking about it because I made a post on Facebook. Like, what celebrities have you met? Something to that effect. And that was a lot of people respond. They remember it. How many tens or hundreds of thousands of people or millions that you crossed in your lifetime, but you'll remember a celebrity encounter, and it's just it's a weird phenomenon. You put them on a pedestal, and I can't imagine. It's a blessing and a curse to be on that pedestal, because people think they know you. I think it's like, oh, I know him, and you don't.
Yeah, I never feel bad for them because they spend years trying to get to this certain point where everybody recognizes them. They enjoy it for a few months, then they want it to go away. They still want to be rich and famous, but they want people to leave them alone. But that's what they've been working for. So I don't know. You can walk away from it. They have that right to walk away from it.
I think so. Quite a few do. A lot of them do, and it's an interesting dynamic. We might have another take on this from Georgia.
We'll leave them alone. Robert,
I apologize. I forgot to turn the other page off. Can you hear me?
We're working now. Looking good, sounding good.
Can you hear me? Okay. When I was a kid, I guess around 8th grade or so, my dad's business reached the point where he decided to start making television commercials. And this was before San Diego became a major market, so to speak. So it was fairly affordable to do that. And my dad sponsored a number of things, etc. And consequently, his face became fairly well known. And my parents liked to go to restaurants a lot, so we'd go out to eat. And after a while, every place we'd go, there'd be people staring at us because they were staring at my dad because he'd been on television. And my dad got to the point where he'd sit in a booth sometimes and he couldn't eat his dinner because he felt all these eyes on him all the time. And my dad was not a shy man. He was very, very good with people. A born salesman. He could talk to strangers like they were his oldest friends. I can't do that, but he certainly could. But it just unnerved him to have all these people gawking at him all the time when he went out in public. And this kind of reached its apex in 1975. My dad sponsored a football game between the 2 Catholic high schools at San Diego Stadium. They had outlawed night games, and the Catholic high schools relied on the revenue from night games for their athletic programs, unlike the public schools. And they needed a way to raise money. So my dad came up with this idea of having a charity bowl football game at the stadium. So he sponsored this thing. And in order to try and bring people in, we ended up getting Bob Hope to come and be the halftime entertainment. So my parents took me to Las Vegas a lot when I was a kid, and my dad sometimes would get backstage passes at concerts and stuff like that. So I'd met a few celebrities before or whatever, and as Joe says, they're just like the rest of us. They're just human beings. Some of them more human than others. But when that night that I met Bob Hope, and I just shook his hand and just kind of watched the whole thing take place in front of me. It was almost surreal. We ended up sitting up in the owner's box at the stadium watching this football game, and Bob Hope was there. And even though there was a divider between us and the other part of the stadium, for the entire time we sat there, it was nothing but one person after another coming up, passing autograph books to Bob Hope. He spent the whole evening, before halftime and after halftime, just signing autographs. One person after another would keep sending autographs up. And he couldn't move. He couldn't go to the bathroom. Every place he went, not necessarily all of us that were there with him, but the other surroundings, just everybody wanted to get a piece of Bob Hope. And at one point, my mom comes up to me and she hands me this autograph book and she says, "You ask him. I'm getting too embarrassed to keep asking him." I said, "I don't want to do this." She said, "Yeah, you ask him. You haven't asked him to do it yet." So I took somebody's autograph book up to him and I said, "Look, I'm really sorry to ask you this." And he said, "Oh, it's no problem." And he signed the autograph and handed it back to me. And I took it back to my mom and she passed it to whomever. And I realized that night just what an annoyance it has to be well known. And I've had almost a terror ever since then of being famous. I think it would be such a horrible thing. And I can remember the last time I was in Beverly Hills, I was in I think it was a 31 Flavors or Haagen-Dazs or something. And I recognized this character actor in there. I can't remember his name, but he was buying his son an ice cream cone. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to stare at him. I'm just going to look the other way. He probably has people staring at him all the time anyway. But I think what it really hit me was one time in the 1980s, I was in Nordstrom's department store in downtown San Diego, and I'm walking toward the escalator, and coming down the escalator straight toward me is Orville Redenbacher, the popcorn guy. And he dressed exactly like he dressed in his commercials, the three-piece suit, the bow tie, the whole thing. And a part of me started to say, "Hey, Orville." And before I said anything, I bit my tongue and I thought, this guy probably has 500 people an hour coming up to him and saying, "Hey, Orville." So I just looked the other way and pretended I didn't see him. And that's my gift to celebrities. If you see a celebrity, do them a favor, pretend you don't see him.
Do you have any input on or a take on why that is that you want to say hey to them? What just you know what's the psychology there that they draw us to them? It's kind of what I'm thinking about.
You feel like you know them because you've either listened to their music or you've watched them on TV and they're familiar to you. I think Joe said the same thing. We feel like we know them, and we know their public persona, but we don't know them, and they certainly don't know us. And there's a 99% chance they couldn't care less about us. And how could they? I mean, they've got their own lives to live.
We feel like they're more important than they are. We feel like they're bigger than they are.
Yeah.
And, I remember when I was in 5th grade going to Chinese, Grauman's Theater on Sunset Boulevard down in Hollywood. And anyway, they had all my favorite cowboys, their handprints, their boot prints, and Gene Autry, Roy Rogers. They were all there in that, all the movie stars. And in 5th grade, I wore a size 10 men's shoe. When I was 10 years, I remember that I was 10 years old and I started wearing a 10. And I had these big old dangly hands. And I went around to all the imprints, and my hands were bigger. But I'm bigger than Roy Rogers. They'd wear like a size 6 shoe, 7. And I was bigger than all these guys. I was 10 years old. I probably wasn't taller, but yeah, I was shocked. I thought they'd be like 4 times bigger than me. And I'm thinking their hands are smaller than mine. My favorite cowboy kills people. That was shocking. My first taste of realizing they're only human. The one star I met that kind of intimidated me was Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that was in a coffee shop in Chico when he was governor. And there's only a handful of people there. And so he walked around the room, and I took Brady over there to get his autograph. And when he walked up to me, I was standing up, and he just got right up in my face, and he just did that squinty thing right in my face. And I've heard other people say when you meet Arnold, you feel like he is just looking right through you. And I know exactly what they meant. It was really cool, though. I mean, he's a very nice guy. But yeah, he just got in my face and did that like, you know, you look really interesting, or am I going to have to kill you? You know, just that Arnold look. Loved it.
But maybe what sets Arnold apart is the fact that he's Austrian. And, he didn't grow up in the United States. And I've heard a lot of people who've lived with foreign exchange students say that Europeans have a different concept of personal space than Americans do. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it wasn't that. It was just cool. Actually, you know, it was a really good experience, but I could see how he could be intimidating. I could tell you Arnold's not 6'2". He's about 5'11". He always says 6'2". I'm 6'2", and I was looking down on him, but wasn't going to arm wrestle him.
I think the size that we all share is kind of puts us in a strange position too. I don't know about you guys, but the thing I remember most about going to kindergarten when I was 5 years old. Before then, I'd hung out with all my brother's friends who were about my same size, because my brother's friends were older. I remember going to kindergarten, and there was one other kid in the class who was about my size, and everybody else looked so small, and I thought there was something wrong with all these kids. And the thing I remember the most is they all seemed to have such tiny hands, and I really thought there was something wrong with all of them. It took me a while to figure out that I was the freak and not them.
How tall are you, Robert?
I'm 6'3.5".
Oh,
You're right. That's tall for a Shaw boy. You're up there. There's a lot of tall drinks of water in our family. That's for sure.
yeah. That reminded me when you said your dad doing those TV commercials. I remember back in the late '90s, about 20 years ago, I did a couple of TV commercials for my business, and you know, I did the talking and the acting. And it ran about 20 times a day on local TV. And one day I was over at the coffee shop, sitting outside in the courtyard drinking coffee, and this little girl kept staring at me. And she's probably 4 or 5 years old, and she had her finger in her mouth, and she was just looking at me. And then finally our mom came up and said, "Would you say hi to my little girl? She thinks you're a movie star. She's seen you on TV." And I said, "Oh, hi, how are you?" That's my that's the closest I've ever been to being a movie star.
Well, if you're on television enough, you become something of a celebrity just for being seen. I mean, look at Cal Worthington in Los Angeles, or that Jewish guy that used to do the TV spots for Zachary All Taylors. Those guys had it every place they went.
Yeah. Cal and his dog Spot. I remember those.
Oh, yeah, and Zach, yeah, I definitely remember that other one too on Wilshire Boulevard.
Yeah. You want suits? We got suits. We've got extra tall, portly, every size you want. Yeah.
Do you remember? I don't know if they advertised in San Diego, but they did in San Bernardino. They were advertising for Paradise Pines. You know, lease an acre for $99 a month for 100 years or whatever.
I remember that all through my childhood. Always hearing about Paradise Pines.
Yeah.
Channel 13 and Channel 11 reached all the way to San Diego, and I was constantly seeing these strange ads for trying to get people to buy property, and they'd always show these big, giant cabins and things like that.
Well, that's the Paradise right by Chico, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, there's a golf course up there. They'd always show the golf course.
Yeah, the good old the TV shows. Were you a fan of the? I guess we'll go. Might as well. Let's go where we go. But like the late night horror shows with the crazy character, and then they would play, a '50s B movie or something.
Yeah, I remember one guy was called Jeepers Creepers. And there was that who was that lady with the
Elvira.
Elvira.
Elvira, yeah, Myra.
There was actually a guy in San Diego, and this was the cleverest one I ever saw. This was in the 80s. This guy came up with a show, and he called it Disaster Piece Theater. And what he would do is he would deliberately show movies that were so bad that they were funny. And I can remember a few of the titles. One was Kurusu, Beast of the Amazon, 18 and Anxious, The Thing That Wouldn't Die. And he'd stop and he'd give commentary, between the commercials and the film. And I remember one night he was showing one film and he said, "I'm really depressed." He says, "This film isn't quite as bad as I thought it would be." So then they showed a few more minutes and he said, "I'm feeling much better now. This film really is horrible. It's terrible." And he was feeling better because the film was worse.
I guess back then they couldn't. How would you get a gig like that? That a whole different. Didn't the TV used to go off at like 11 or midnight? It would just you'd get the pattern on your TV till the morning.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, yeah.
They'd play the national anthem and then they'd go off the air.
Those were the days, weren't they? Yes.
Yeah, I remember this one TV show. It was like a punk you kind of a show, but what was that lady's name? Elvira. Elvira. Yeah. Anyway, they found somebody who was a big fan of hers, and she was over babysitting, and she turned on Elvira, and anyway, it ended up Elvira was broadcasting from in their garage. She played some movie, and the girl was getting all scared, and Elvira said, "If you're really scared, I can come over there." She goes, "What?" And she's talking to her through the TV, and then she came in the house.
I don't know if you guys would remember this, but there was a guy on in Los Angeles when I was real little, and it was black and white, and he called himself Sheriff John, and he had a noontime show with kids, and he'd show cartoons and stuff like that.
I'll put out the candle on my birthday.
Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy, yeah. I thought Sheriff John was the neatest guy in the world.
Sheriff John, and who was that guy that did the Popeye cartoons? Tom McHatton. And he did the Squeagle. He do all these. You guys might be a little young. I'm going back to these. Yeah, I'm going back to the 50s, late 50s. Yeah. Wink Martindale had a show out of POP. Me and Kenny went to that one time.
A live show?
Yeah, it was like a music thing. He'd have somebody on there, different people that had a hit record out, live from POP, Wink Martindale show. There
was a guy named Lloyd Thaxton that had a teen music.
Lloyd Thaxton's Record Hop.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he had that old beat up guitar with all the tape on it. And he'd lip sync songs.
Yes, that's what I remember specifically.
Yeah, I remember Lloyd Thaxton.
I think we have a few in the audience who, when you lived in Southern California, you had access to the game shows. And I know a number of our family members won on Let's Make a Deal was one of them. I think Jennifer might have gotten on Let's Make a Deal. I think Donna won an encyclopedia set or a bedroom set. But yeah, we had access to the game shows, and they would go. They would go and stand in line and wait to get picked, and go in and then wait to get picked again. And yeah, I think my mom even might have went to one of those. But I think Let's Make a Deal was the go-to.
Queen for a Day.
Yeah, Queen for a Day. Yeah.
The Price is Right.
I just remember that if my brother and I could both con my mom into thinking we were sick, we'd sit in the living room together and watch game shows. And the one that seemed to be at the top of the list for us was Jeopardy. But this was back when Jeopardy was done on a cheap set in New York, and the host was a guy named Art Fleming. And I actually like the show much better then. It wasn't as sanitized looking as it is today. Jeopardy, I Guess, and Password. I remember those. Those are the only shows I remember.
Yeah, it's funny how what they put on is for entertainment, but I guess it worked.
Yeah, I can remember the early ones like What's My Line and $64,000 Question. Those are like the first
Tell
ones.
the Truth.
Tell the Truth, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I dropped the link. Someone else want to share their old memories.
Yes, I'm taking up too much dead airspace.
Please help us. That topic wasn't the greatest topic, but Joe, sometimes they don't all work. All the bits and gags don't always play out like we'd like to. I see Kurt out here. I think I see Kurt Shaw in the house.
Yeah, that card trick was pretty amazing. I mean, the fact you got 4 of them in a row.
Well, mathematics, Joe. What's amazing about math?
I think that somebody would have been impressed with that, but nobody was very impressed.
Well, it's like I said before, Joe. It's all about numbers, and I'm going to say it again because I think it's interesting. AF that with the concept of something and nothing, we can predict the future, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But that's the truth. Heavy stuff, heavy stuff. Something to nothing. That concept, we can solve any math problem in the world. Sorry, but that's the way it is.
Well, we'll have to come up with some samples of that.
Okay. We can do that. That's interesting.
Interesting
Card tricks.
demonstration.
The concept of something and nothing. It can solve anything. It can predict the future. That's what's amazing.
You know what's amazing is this thing right here.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I love my pendulum.
Yeah. Does it answer questions?
Oh my God, this thing blows my mind every day for years.
It'll answer questions?
Sure will.
We can test that,
Good.
Yeah. Do you ever test it like scientifically?
Yes, I do.
How do you do that?
I just did it today.
Okay, tell me what you do.
Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about the pendulum. Now, anything can be a pendulum, and I know the religious people, they see witchcraft and stuff like that. But here's the thing about the pendulum: it works off your subconscious mind. There's no woo woo involved. It's not like a Ouija board. There's no spirits talking through you. It's nothing like that. What it is it's a way for your subconscious to express something to you. So if you ask the pendulum something, if your subconscious doesn't know it, it doesn't know it. It can only express what you already know. If you got lost in the woods, you could make up a pendulum because subconsciously you know where you are, and the pendulum will point to the direction you need to go to get out. It's too bad more people don't know things like that. But just today, I was just messing with it, and it picked out. What I did is I looked through a deck of cards. I just looked at every card, and then I put the deck down. And because I had to look at them to do this trick, because if I didn't look at them, my subconscious don't know the order of the cards.
Okay.
I just look at the deck. I don't have to memorize it. Subconsciously, I know every card in that deck. Anybody does. So I put the cards down. I peeled 10 cards off the top. I checked the pendulum, and for 4 cards in a row, it told me what they were. I consciously did not know, but I subconsciously did know. I'll do that for you sometime.
I would like to scientifically, and I know right now they're thinking this is a gag, a setup.
It's not.
It's not a setup.
I have nothing set up. I'm just telling you what happened. That because I subconsciously knew the 10th through the 14th card, even though after I looked at them all, I didn't I didn't memorize nothing. I just made sure my eyes saw them. And then I put them down and I thought, how many cards should I go down? I'll go down 10 to make sure I'm not remembering the last few cards I saw. And yeah, 4 cards in a row.
So how deep is your subconscious? If you looked at all 52, could you remember where they all are at, or is it just?
Well, I don't know. I haven't tested it that far. Subconsciously, I probably know. You know, they say subconsciously, you've stored every memory you ever have in your whole life. Everything you've looked at, every thought, every fact, it's all still there. But yeah, you have to have experienced it in order for it to be registered.
So theoretically, you could. Now, just go through the process with me. How did you ask the pendulum what card it was? How did that happen?
Oh, you have to do yes and no questions.
Yes and no question. So you go through the whole deck, and then until it gives you a yes.
I would, if you hold it over a card, you can ask it, "Is this a red card?"
Okay.
No. Then you say, "Is it a black card?" They'll say yes. Is this a spade? Yes. Is this a face card? No. You can go like that.
And it works.
It does. Now, sometimes, okay, I got to admit, 2 times it did not get the exact card right, but all 4 times it had the exact color and suit. You know,
Okay.
if they told me it was a spade, it was a spade. That it's accurate for every time. Now, that may be because my subconscious only registered spades, hearts, diamonds, clubs better than it registered queen and stuff like that. For instance, you know, like I say, it's just a way to get in touch with subconscious. It's not there's no magic to it at all. You can take you can use it for your health. You can, like I wrote out a whole bunch of minerals, magnesium, phosphorus, blah, 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 blah. And you can hold it over the different minerals and ask it, does my body need this mineral? No, no, no. And then finally, I went over what's that mineral that makes your fingernails stronger?
Calcium.
Calcium. That's what it said. Yes, calcium. So I went and got calcium, and my fingernails were splitting all the time. And I started taking the calcium, maybe because I don't take dairy products. I might have been lacking. Anyway, if I take calcium, my fingernails don't split. But I didn't know that. I didn't have a clue I needed calcium, but it did help me to figure that out.
Did you know really calcium's a metal?
What's that?
You know calcium's a metal?
Is it?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Burns in air.
Air? What?
Very reactive. It's super reactive. It's soft. You can cut it with a knife.
Yeah.
Very interesting properties, calcium. It's usually it's in mineral form with oxygen or something, calcium carbonate or carbon and oxygen. But yeah, a little science lesson never hurt anybody.
Well, you know, our subconscious does know what's wrong with us, what's right with us. It, you know, it's a subconscious. It keeps the body working, keeps the heart pumping, keeps us breathing, makes the blood flow. It's all from the brain on a subconscious level. So your subconscious knows when there's something wrong with you or you're lacking in something, even if you consciously aren't aware of it. So any tool, hypnosis is a tool to get in touch with the subconscious. And that's what that little pendulum thing is. It's just another tool.
So why don't you think they use that in medicine more often as to figure out what's wrong with people by letting people see what's wrong with them?
Oh, science ain't going to acknowledge anything like this. We're just now, doctors are just now starting to admit that maybe diet has something to do with our health. My God, most of us knew that back in the 70s, and doctors are just now starting to get to that point. I mean,
Okay, let me go. Let me take you back a little bit. You said science would never allow that to happen. Something to that effect. What do you think science is, Joe?
Well, science is not going to look seriously into a lot of things until they're overwhelmed with the evidence. Then they'll start looking. I think science is it's funded. Research is funded by corporations that stand to make a lot of profit off the research, and with certain things like supplements, food. Took hypnosis a long time to get any kind of credence. It took chiropractic, yoga, all those things. It took a long time. They were all looked upon as new age foo-foo until so many people are doing it, and there's so much overwhelming evidence that there's benefit to it. Then science will take a look. So yeah, they may look at this here thing one day.
Why don't
I think they're going to come up with some amazing stuff.
Okay, why don't you think you could do science? Or you think it's a club? You think there's a card carrying members that are scientists, or you know, why couldn't you do the science on that? What would keep you from doing science, or anybody else?
I guess anybody could, and a lot of people do. But a lot of people, as I've heard from you, want to see it in a journal, a scientific journal.
Not necessarily.
Waste of time looking deeper into the subject.
No, I don't think you've ever heard me say it's. Usually, see, the deal with science, though, it needs to be peer reviewed. That's a really important part of science, that somebody else has got to look at what you've done and say, and you got to explain everything that was involved, and they got to be able to repeat it. And that might be what we're referring to, but a big part of science is peer review, that other people can do the same thing you're doing. It's just not, otherwise it's magic, right? So there's nothing you don't have to be in a journal. You just have to present it. And if it's interesting or compelling, other people will pick up on that. That's kind of how science works. Nobody discriminates in science. And
well, I'm talking about the stuff that is researched and has a lot of money put behind it.
Well, but anyone can do science. You can do science, and you can go down to the physics or chemistry department at Chico State, or the biology department, and present it to them, and it can take off. Anyone can do science if they follow the procedure, the scientific method. But I kind of always wonder, like, why do you think science is against some of these? It's not. Do the science yourself. Present the evidence.
Yeah, it's not that science is against them. I'm just making the point that you're not going to get a lot of money put behind looking into a lot of things if there's nobody to be able to profit from it.
Well, I have a little bit of experience with that, working at national labs, universities all over the world. When I used to set up lasers, all that very fundamental science, there is no profit in it. No one's looking for profit when you're at fundamental levels, because it's too fundamental for there to be profit. It can give you insight on nature, but almost every scientist I ever met, I never worked for a really profit-driven scientist. I know profit's a method, but basic science is.
I'm not talking about the scientists. I'm not saying scientists are driven by profit. I'm saying the people that fund the research.
The American government funds the research by the tunes of hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, Joe.
The government, all research is funded by the government?
A large percentage. No, there's some private institutions. Bill Gates, I'm sure, funds a lot of science. There's a lot of, it's not, what's the word I'm looking for? That, actually one was Jeffrey Epstein. As bad as it was, that billionaire gave a lot of money to science. He was well liked by scientists. They didn't know it, but no, there's people who believe in science give money to it. And
here's the thing: if something's true, it's going to become mainstream at some point in time. Just a lot of things take a lot longer than they should. Science, if it's true, science is going to catch it, and it's going to get researched and looked into, but some things are going to be put off. You know,
But I'm telling you, you can do this.
alfalfa sprouts are good for you, but you don't know what I went through in the 70s promoting them when nobody ever heard of them, and going to stores and everybody said it was cow food. Oh, here comes that guy with the cow food, and it was a big joke. Yogurt was a joke back then. Being a vegetarian was a joke. So many things that became mainstream later. If it's true, and it is true that sprouts are good for you, that's a fact, but it just took about 40, 30 years.
Do you think
The a staple item in produce. Nobody's going to walk by them now and go, what the hell is that? Well, they did when I was selling them, but now they don't. It's staple. Alfalfa sprouts is right there with carrots, celery. It's as staple as any of them, but it took a while.
do you think science impeded that? Was that science that kept that from happening?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
No, and that's maybe not even a good example, because there really wasn't any research necessary with that.
But I just want to impress on you that science isn't anyone can do science if they just follow the correct procedures that can be repeated. It's actually, you should. I could design, if it's design an experiment, I'm good at that. I could design any experiment, well, not anyone, but a lot of them, to actually get real data and see if it's correct or not. I mean, that's
And maybe a better term than science is the national psyche. How to get something into the national psyche to be accepted that's a bit out of the norm.
marketing.
Yeah, every time we try something new, it takes a while for it to catch on. I remember when white guys weren't supposed to sing the blues back in the 50s, and rock and roll. Elvis came out doing rock and roll, and
They burned his records or something.
yeah, a lot of those people they assumed he was a black guy before they saw him. But yeah, it's things catching on to the national psyche, and there's a lot of things right now that we're doing that I honestly believe in 50 years or 100 years we'll look back on them the way we look back now on that we ever had slavery, that in the 60s they give diet pills to pregnant women like my sister Donna to keep their weight down. I mean, people think that we've learned all these lessons in the past and now we've got it all together. No, we're doing stuff now that decades down the road, we're not going to believe we did it. And there's going to be people denying they ever believed in it. I think farm animals is one good example. Spraying poison on food we eat is another example. Things that are just ridiculous, but we accept it. And once you can get it into the national psyche that you can be a vegetarian and actually be healthier, and it's better for the environment, better for the planet, and that's happening. It is actually happening. Being a vegetarian 30 years ago, you were a laughing stock. Now it's like, oh, okay, it's cool. I don't agree with it, but it's cool. So it's acceptable.
See,
There's a lot of things that aren't. Believing in extraterrestrials is just now starting to be where people don't laugh at you.
yeah. I remember, one of the theories for a long time was the government knew about them, but if they told everybody, there'd be mass panic. Remember that was kind of a go-to line. That's the reason they're being kept secret.
Not now.
And now the government has recently released some evidence, you might say, of extraterrestrials, but it's almost blasé. There's nobody panicking. I don't know of anybody who would panic if there was extraterrestrials necessarily. I mean, I think it would be the coolest thing in the world, to be honest with you. But I don't know how it affects us. That's all.
I think most of us do think it would be cool, but uh, the main reason that the government, and now I'm speaking from not necessarily my point of view, but from a guy who's looked into it, the popular reason that's been out for years why the government is not going to release any information is because they don't want us to know about it. Because if we do, if we find out they have captured aircraft, that they have been reversing this technology for 50 years, or they say ever since Roswell, then it's going to turn to other questions like, well, what do you know? What have you learned? And if we find out that there's such thing as free energy that can be produced without energy, we're going to start demanding that we have that. If we have
Why wouldn't they do it then? If they can do that, why wouldn't they do it?
profit. You ever heard of the Koch brothers?
Well, why couldn't they?
Billionaires.
If you can make something for free and you can sell it, because you can sell energy, it's our commodity. You know, why wouldn't they do that? There's no overhead. If you can get energy for free with no overhead, it's the profit's unlimited.
Yeah, but right now we've got this. You've got this whole system, this energy system from the royalties in Saudi Arabia, the oil companies in America. You know, it's a for-profit thing. It's like the pharmaceutical industry. You know, these things are not necessarily good or bad, but they're bad when they keep you from getting away from their dependency. And
so just to recap, you have a theory that possibly our government knows about free energy, where you can create energy from nothing, and that it's being suppressed due to corporate profits.
well, that's a possibility.
A possibility.
Do I believe that? I don't believe it or disbelieve it. I just like to look into what's possible, and that does make sense to me. And there's a lot of people a lot smarter than myself that totally buy into that, and they have produced a lot of evidence, evidence in the way of knowing people that have submitted certain patents for certain energy devices, and the patents get confiscated by the government. So why is that? Why would the government do something like that?
Do you have any evidence of that?
Do I have any evidence of that? No.
Yeah, okay.
Now, give me an hour to look it up and I'll find you something, but off the top of my head, no. I
You
do.
won't be able to like show the patents of the free energy device or anything. Because
There are people that claim to have them, and they supposedly the men in black come in and shut them down and take all their files and take everything. Now, I don't know if that's just stories or not.
how many people do you think are involved in that conspiracy? Like if you have an agency of men in black that are out there, which like how many, you know, how wide is that conspiracy? You know, do the corporations know? Do the board members of the corporations know it? Do the CEOs of the corporations know it? Is it military people who know it? Is it, you know, how big is that conspiracy? You know, the team.
It's a good question. I have no idea.
Because actually a lot of people say, you know how you keep a secret between two people is you got to kill one of the other guys, especially in a day of where you can profit off secrets. So that's why I'm a little suspicious about that.
Right. And that's the exact reason why I don't believe 9/11 was an inside job, or the man landing on the moon was fake, because you cannot keep those kind of secrets, not with the amount of people that it would take to do that and pull that off. It can't be done. So that's why I don't buy into that sort of thing. However, with the extraterrestrial equation, that's at a whole different level, where even the presidents usually don't know much about it.
Do you think it's just limited to people in the United States that know about them, or you think it's a worldwide phenomenon that all corporations worldwide, all leaders worldwide, all militaries worldwide know about these, or just a select few? You know, how big is the conspiracy? Is it a worldwide thing where people in Argentina might know it, or Russia, or China, or
I don't know. I don't think it's worldwide. I know I've read a couple of stories of something crash landing in Mexico, and the Mexican army will get there, clear everybody out, and then they'll talk about seeing the U.S. Army come in and clear the Mexican army out, and they take it. Now, does that happen all over the world between U.S., Russia, and China? Anything like that? You get something crashes, they just go in and they bully their way in and take it, because we don't want other people to have any kind of that kind of technology.
so you think that's big powers would have the monopoly on that knowledge?
Who would?
The big powers, Russia, China, the United States, or just
certain elements? Yeah, I think if you get there's certain people that do. You know, you got that. There's a billionaire. What's his name? Not Jeff Bezos. Robert Bigelow. He spent hundreds of millions looking into this. He used to own the Skinwalker Ranch, and he's a pretty smart guy. He's done a lot of research into that whole thing. I've watched interviews with him. He totally buys into it. So I don't know if it's true. I like finding little stories that kind of hint that there may be something there. You know, I read an interview once with Jackie Gleason, and he said that he was best friends with Richard Nixon. And he said back when Nixon was president, he said Jackie Gleason said he's having dinner with him down in Florida. And Nixon says, "Hey, you want to see something really interesting?" And he said, "Sure." So they got in the limo and they drove over to an Air Force base. And he said Nixon took them onto the grounds, took them back in this building, and showed them a full-size alien, a gray alien they had pickled in a big tank. Maybe Jackie Gleason was lying.
so to me that secret, if the president's going to share that with a celebrity, that we, you know, that to me that kind of undermines the conspiracy theory. How many other guys did Nixon show that to? And Jackie Gleason talked about it. So,
well, they were best friends, and this was near the end of Jackie Gleason's life when he talked about it. Nixon said, I don't know. I don't know. And from what I hear is some presidents know about it, some don't. Clinton was left out of the loop. Bush Sr., he knew all about it because he was in CIA. Reagan knew about it. Obama was left out of the loop. Trump don't know nothing.
so you don't think any other countries know about it, or you do or don't?
Oh, I do. And another one that's good evidence is, whoops, I lost you. Where'd you go?
I'm here.
Okay, but I can't see nothing. Just a second.
Because I think you're looking at chat now or something.
Now my whole screen went off.
Go leave and come back.
There it is. Okay. God, I'm sure we've lost everybody that was watching because this has got to be boring.
There weren't that many people watching, so don't worry.
What's that?
There weren't too many people watching, so it's not a big.
Yeah, there's probably nobody here but us.
We can talk.
Well, just one more point. What I find very interesting too, and if you go to YouTube and you just plug in UFOs and nuclear bases, you'll get all kinds of stuff where they have interviewed lieutenants and soldiers and people that have been on nuclear bases from the 60s into the 90s where UFOs show up and shut down all the nuclear weapons. And that's happened literally dozens of times. And they say it's happened in Russia and China. But So unless you got these military guys that are making this up, and you'll have several of them telling the same story that we're on the same base, and it's kind of a pattern. A UFO shows up over the base, and they go on a certain alert, and all of a sudden, the missiles that are carrying the weapons, everything shuts down, down. It just goes offline, and the UFO disappears, and a few minutes later, it comes back on, and that's happened over and over, and that's a fact. I've seen people testify to Congress about that happening. Military guys testifying to Congress that UFOs show up and our weapons are shut down. And the popular belief is that they're kind of letting us know that they are not going to allow us to have a nuclear war. They have the power to stop it, and they're kind of leaving us to our own devices to go through our lessons, possibly even destroy ourselves, destroy our planet. But they're not going to allow the nuclear war. And one of the reasons is because I think they have a lot of presence on this planet, and it would affect the whole solar system to a degree if we had an all-out nuclear war. So they're not going to allow it. Now, and there again, I'm not telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I've looked into. And I don't know if it's true. I just know that it's very interesting, especially when it's not some long-haired guy in his mom's basement making these stories up. It's people testifying to Congress. So someday on a rainy afternoon, when you're bored, spend an hour just looking up UFOs appearing over nuclear bases and what happens, how many times it's happened, who's reported it, and I think it'll blow your mind.
Oh, actually, I've looked at some, and honestly, I wasn't compelled by it, believe it or not. But so, why do you think the Pentagon recently released these tapes that kind of show evidence of fighter jets following unidentified flying objects?
Why are they doing it?
Yeah.
Well, the popular theory is it's a part of a 100-year disclosure, slow disclosure. The government knows they have to disclose the whole thing, but they're doing it very slowly. They're supposedly conditioning the masses. Supposedly, they've used Hollywood and fiction and all this to get the masses used to the idea. Because for one thing, if this was to come out, that it could possibly lead to a complete worldwide economic collapse for many reasons. I can't remember how to connect those dots.
Yeah, I would like to hear that connection. And like I said, I think the theory that it would cause panic or that we have to slowly be eased into it, I don't know. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. I think people
for you or for me or for most of the people we know would probably be kind of thrilled about something like that, or at least very interested. But don't overestimate your average Joe. People, look at the people in the Depression that were jumping out the windows because they had lots of portfolio. There was widespread panic just over the stock market crashing. So what kind of panic?
Well, yeah. Have you met a person that would say that they would panic if there was UFO, if there were extraterrestrials on Earth? I've never met that person. When you say the average Joe, I've never met that person who would say I would jump out of a building if there was UFOs. I can see it if you lose your livelihood or if you lost your fortune. That's to me that's another story. But just the idea of having UFOs is going to cause panic. I just don't buy that argument. I don't see it happening.
Well, I hope that's true, but I think there's a very big element of people out there. For one thing, it's going to challenge religion. What's it going to do to religion if we find out there's other races out there more intelligent than us? What's it going to do to Christianity, to all the fundamental religions of the world?
Well, the same thing.
We're going to have to stop and start questioning everything. We're going to start all over.
Well, no kind of science did that in the Enlightenment when they said, you know what, we revolve around the sun. Because most of the major religions believe that the Earth is the center of the universe. They kind of got over that part. They got over the fact that there's not four corners on the Earth. There's not a tree big enough to look at all four corners just because we're on a globe. They got over that. They got over a lot of them got over evolution. Now some don't. Radical ones don't, but a lot of Christians that's maybe the God's plan, but that was a big one too. But they seem to adapt to new ideas.
They're adapting slowly, and that's the whole theory behind this slow disclosure, that it actually started back in the 60s, and it's a 50 to 100-year disclosure. And so when you have things like a few years back when the Pope actually come out and said it's possible that there could be alien life on other planets that have souls. I think that was in 2011. Well, that's pretty big. So that gets at least Catholics to accepting the possibility that we're not the only ones in the universe, like we've pretty much always thought we were. Well, if the Pope says it, then it's at least possible that there's other life forms out there with souls. And that's so that's what you would call part of the slow disclosure. And if the disclosure is indeed what's happening, then you can expect in your lifetime to see it slightly stepped up more and more, a little more happening all the time. We'll see. I don't know.
Do you think it matters if you believe it or not believe it? Like, is there any real difference between saying I believe it or I don't believe it? Like, is there any consequences to not believing?
I don't know what that would be. I don't think it.
That's kind of my, that's why I probably don't dive. That's why I probably don't dive into it real deep, because I just don't see how it could make a big. I would love it. I think it would be the coolest thing in the world. I would embrace it. I would be fascinated by it, curious. But until that happens, I don't know how it affects me.
Well, if you're talking about your life there at your house with your shop and your family and your income and your rain and your ocean, no, it doesn't affect you at all. It's so I know I've just always been one to look up at the stars and go, what the hell is out there? I gotta know.
Joe, that's universal, my friend. That's universal. You just said,
so it would affect me if I knew one way or the other.
Okay, but you don't. But how would it affect? Yeah, it would affect everybody if they knew one way or another. But until it's known, it doesn't affect you.
Right, but it ain't going to be known if we don't look for it and try to figure out what's going on.
I think there's a lot of people looking for it.
Right, you're not.
No,
I am. You're not.
How are you looking for it?
Oh, I'm just reading articles. I read books and watch a lot of videos. And but like I said, I've cut way back on that because I haven't seen anything new in the last 5-10 years. I was in the 90s. I was very heavy into it, and it seemed like there was new information coming out all the time. I haven't seen anything new, so I've kind of moved on to other things. But I think it would affect the whole world if we were to all know that there is extraterrestrial life out there, and they are capable of traveling the galaxy.
I think absolutely. Of course it would.
My God, look what it would do with how we look at each other on this planet. All of a sudden, we'd see ourselves, oh, well, we're humans. They're that, we're this, instead of we're Mexican, we're white, you're brown, you're red. No, we're humans. Now we're going to see ourselves differently. We're going to see ourselves part of this one planet without borders. And I think it's going to go a long way to unifying the human race and having more of a connection with each other, which will help us to stop killing each other and destroying our planet. Just knowing there's others out there, and especially if we see well, if they can do this, maybe we can do that. If they can travel the stars, maybe we can travel the stars. If they get along without war, maybe we can get along without war.
I already have that point of view. That's the way it should be. It seems like last night you were a little bit arguing against that we're not ready for that, and you're probably right. But I don't need extraterrestrials to tell me that we're a species called the human beings, that there shouldn't be artificial borders, and I firmly believe that. I definitely don't need to know extraterrestrials are out there for me to understand that. I think that's so very logical that it's ridiculous. The more evolved we get culturally, that we realize that we're all human, we're all the same species, and we're on a tiny little ball in the middle of, we're very lonely, and there's not a lot, and I understand that. I wish other people did and didn't look at other people as, but I think that's part of the human psyche. I think that's part of evolution, that we evolved to be predators, and we've evolved to have different traits, and some people, are different, and that's part of how we actually evolved. It's deep in our DNA. That's my thought, anyways.
Well, I want us to be ready. I would like us to move along quicker. I don't know. I think there's just right now there's too much greed. There's too much control by money. There's too much religious influence. Not always in a good way. So yeah, we got a lot of obstacles to work through, to overcome before we can really make big leaps forward. And the problem with that is we don't have a lot of time. I don't know if we're gonna make it. The popular theory among UFO people is that most planets do not make it past their technology stage. Very few of them do, and I could believe that. If there is life all over the galaxy, and I believe there is, it would be very rare that maybe 1 out of 1,000 planets with intelligent life actually evolve through their technology stage and survive it.
No. Within 100 or so years of our technology stage, we developed weapons of mass destruction that could wipe us all out. It's it's a conundrum, but that's what
we're wiping out 200 species a day of life on this planet. Go watch an airplane dusting crops. It's spooky. It's spooky when you see them flying over, just raining down that poison. Yeah.
Well, that's actually kind of brings on another top. Well, there's I'm not supposed to do that on the show, but I think there's a new Michael Moore movie out about global warming, and I haven't seen it. But
I decided to watch that. Dennis sent it to me.
I caught the gist of it, but we're overpopulated is the big problem, and
we should both watch it, and we could talk about it tomorrow on your show.
But I have a feeling it would get a little on the political side. But maybe we'll save that that would be a good for you. That would be a great topic for one of your first shows.
Show.
No, you're going to. You'll enjoy it. You're going to get a show and you're going to like it. And we've gone. I was only going to do an hour today. We're up around 2 hours. Great, interesting talk. I think fascinating topics. But yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, it is. We all have our own interests. I wish I knew more about. There's things I'm interested in. I could give you some good details, and other things I'm very interested in. I couldn't tell you much about it. I just enjoy looking into it.
Hey, and I just want to, and by the way, but just to a concept of something or nothing, you can solve math problems and predict the future. I just want to throw that out there as
something from nothing.
Elaborate on that. No, not that. The idea of something and nothing. That's the concept of, or true or false. Something or nothing, true or false. You can solve any math problem with just that concept.
Oh, something or nothing.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that amazing? You can predict the future with that, just that concept. Something and nothing.
Something to nothing.
No, just something and nothing. The concept.
Something the nothing.
No, something and nothing.
Oh, something in nothing.
And A-N-D.
Okay, something and nothing.
Yes. True or false?
It's not a question.
No,
What's the question?
with just that concept, you can solve math problems and predict the future. That's all.
I don't think I know exactly what you're talking about, but we'll talk more about that.
Well, you know that this thing that we're looking at right now that's running this whole show is a computer, right?
Yeah.
And the mathematics of a computer is something and nothing. But they use a voltage, 0 volts and 2 volts, or 0 volts, and it's just two things. It's called a binary system, so it's either one thing or another, true or false. And with that, just that concept, how I'm proving that it works is what I'm doing right now. What we're doing together is all
Zeros and ones.
It's all zeros and ones, exactly.
I see what you're saying now.
It's kind of an interest to me. That's interesting. But
that's because we're living in a virtual reality, Patrick.
Yeah, okay.
I had to tell you that one before. You're starting to figure it out.
Yeah, okay. Well, some ways we might be. We just ponder this one. Who created that virtual reality? Are they dead? Is it humans? Could have humans created the virtual reality we live in? Why not?
Well, we did, but we're not humans till we come into the reality. In the virtual reality, you're human. When you step out of the game, you're not a human.
But how do you know that humans didn't create the game that we're playing?
Humans are the game.
No, but no, they couldn't have created the game.
I think we created the game, but humans is a word for somebody incarnated in a physical body. So human would be the avatar we take on to play this World of Warcraft game.
Okay, when somebody had to create the World of Warcraft, there's a creator.
We
right?
did.
Okay, we did. So
it was purposely designed that we would come into this game and completely forget. That's part of the game. That's part of the rules. You have to abide by the rules. So to play the game, you have to forget you created the game.
Okay, so the game, so the creator of our virtual reality could be a human.
Well, how do you define a human?
Well, I would define myself as a human.
Well, I'm okay. I'm saying I think of human as somebody in a body.
Yeah,
the body makes you human. I think of the body as an avatar. And I say avatar because in the movie Avatar, the guy goes into an avatar body. So that's his avatar. But that's not who he is. He's actually in that crippled body on the other side. He can't walk. But he's really neither one of those bodies. He's something else. But they had the technology to take that something else, that essence of him, out of the crippled body and put it into that avatar body. So then that became his avatar. So if you look at it like we are avatars, these bodies, this here, it's an avatar. It's an avatar I took on because I want to play this game. I chose to come here and be part of this virtual reality for certain experiences I wanted to have. I wanted to know what it's like to forget who I am and where I came from. I chose it. It's part of the game. There's rules. There's certain rules to the game. Anyway, we can get deeper into that some other time.
Okay. Yeah, because to me that's just a twisted kind of a.
It's just another way to look at life because it's all possibilities. You know, everybody thinks they got it figured out. The Catholics got it figured out. The atheists know the atheists know it's nothing unless maybe it is. It's just a possibility.
Can I ask you how you would define an atheist?
What's that?
How would you define? I hear that word kicked around a lot. How would you define an atheist?
Oh shit! I got beat up for that a few weeks ago. Well, that's like saying how would you define a new age thinker? uh, because it appears to be that there's a lot of atheists. Now, I always assumed the atheist was somebody that did not believe in a creator or the eternalness of the soul. And it seems there's different atheists. Some atheists don't believe in that, and some say it's a very strong possibility. But until I see the evidence, I don't see where it's worth my consideration. Kind of like you are with extraterrestrials. So yeah, it appears there's more to atheism than I ever assumed. I tended to roll it into one lump sum, and it's not. I'm sure you, Jeff Hawk, and many people that would consider themselves atheist on some level would all define it differently.
So I'll define how I see it as I don't know, and I would call you. I would say that's the way everybody is, to one degree or another. You don't know, right? There's possibilities, but you don't know. Correct?
You don't know unless you do.
See, I don't think anybody knows. Do you know?
No.
Okay, I don't think anybody does. I don't think we're meant to.
Well, I do. I think some people know. I think people that have had near-death experiences, they seem to know something we don't know.
And what is that? And what is that?
That we live outside of our body. I think if you were to find yourself on the ceiling looking down at your body on the operating table, and then you float out in the cafeteria, and then you later tell everybody what they were talking about in the cafeteria, what they were eating, and you describe to the doctors everything they were talking about while they were operating on you. I think that's very strong evidence that we exist independent of our brain and our body.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So do you think of yourself as an atheist in any degree because you don't know yourself? Would you consider yourself an atheist in any degree at all because you don't know?
Definitely, because I don't know.
Okay, good.
So whether there is or isn't, I don't know. I have my beliefs, and we're all entitled to believe anything we want. I get a little perturbed with people that mistake knowledge for belief for knowledge, and say that they know. When if they would just admit it and say, no, you believe, I respect that much more.
See, that's what you and I can agree on, and I think I fall in that category that I don't know, and I haven't come across a person who convinced me that they knew. I mean, there's a lot of people with faith and belief, and that's a whole nother thing. But again, you can believe, but you don't know. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know.
You feel things, and I get that. I used to be a Catholic. I mean, I get it. You feel something deep in your heart. You have images of your Lord and Savior, and sometimes you feel you're comforted. You feel he talks to you. You feel somebody's listening to your prayers. So all that adds up to where you know that Jesus is real. You know that He is your Savior, and He's going to be waiting for you when you die. Well, they feel that. They do. They feel it. They believe it. But I think they have their own definition for knowledge, because to you and me, that's not knowledge. That's a very strong feeling. It's a very strong desire, but it's not knowledge. I'm sorry. I wish it was, because therefore I'd be more willing to listen to other people that had knowledge.
Well, they do have a word for it, faith. Most people are honest; they have faith in that.
And when they can admit this is just faith, it's my faith, I respect that 100%.
I do too.
What I believe is only my faith too, and I find evidence in things that I believe. I'll look for evidence. To me, that's important. It's got to be more than just my idea of how things might work. I look for evidence, and everybody can find evidence in what you want to believe. Like Robert was talking yesterday about Fatima and these miracles and things, but I've watched many videos of monks in Tibet, and I've seen many, there's dozens of them, where there's a handprint into stone and footprints in stone. And that is from when the monk does a certain amount of meditation for so many years. They come out of the cave, they come out of the monastery, and they've reached such a level of awareness that they can manipulate physical properties, and they literally imprint their hand right into the stone. Now, I don't know if that's a trick, but I know the handprints are there. I know they're there. I've watched the documentaries. They're out there. Go to YouTube, check it out. But so if you're going to use Fatima or Jesus walking on water as proof that this is the true religion, you're going to have to look a little deeper than that, because there's stuff like that all over the world in all kinds of beliefs. And what is true and what isn't true, I don't know.
You got someone wants to come up here? Yeah, I don't know either. Those are deep subjects. I think David wants to come up and talk about something. But other than that, we've gone over 2 hours, so it's about time to wrap this.
Yeah.
Wrap this.
I'll sign off. Listen to what David has to say.
Okay, let's see. It'll take a few seconds before he even sees it, and then yes. How did you feel about that after the show last night? How did you feel about it? Was it okay?
What's that?
The show last night after we were finished, how did you feel okay?
Oh yeah, I thought it was great. It was fun. Everybody was respectful. Yeah. No, I love that kind of thing. That's fun.
That's really tricky. That's tricky waters to maneuver, and I definitely don't know what I'm doing. So I'm glad you thought that, because sometimes I lose my composure, but I think if we can pull it back together, it's not so bad. Here's Mr. Dietz.
Hi, Uncle Joe.
Hi, David. I'm going to take off unless you had something you wanted to talk to me about.
No.
Okay. Thanks for letting me take up so much time again today.
Hey, no, thank you for bailing me out. I was up there flapping in the breeze, and that's no fun. So I appreciate that. We'll have to come up with another gag for these guys. Okay, Joe?
I'm going to work on it tomorrow.
Okay, David dropped out for some reason. Oh, here he is. You know what? I have a prediction. Can I make a prediction? Can you hear me? Here we go. Can you hear me now? You can't hear me? No? Can't hear me? Oh, darn it. Actually, I'm going to make a prediction what he was going to talk about, because actually it's kind of a neat subject. You probably saw everyone on here is on Facebook, so you probably saw it. So I'm going to ruin his little thing. There's that meme where it showed a shoe, and I think it was teal and gray or pink and white, and I think he was going to bring that up, which I think is actually it's a great example about how two people can see something but see it different. And know they're right because they see what they see. And I think that's what David was going to talk about, but maybe we'll save some more of that for tomorrow, because we've gone a long time. We've gone over 2 hours, and I'm getting tired. But yeah, think about that. We're the way our minds work. We see things differently than others, even though it looks exactly the same. Here he is. Let's see if he confirms it. If he can hear me.
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
I don't know if you can hear me.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, you're on the right track with that. I was hoping Joe was still up there, because it comes down to belief, what you believe. And that was really funny and interesting that the people that looked at that shoe, you had people that would swear that shoe was teal and gray. There was no doubt in their mind. And
me. No, yes, me. I did.
Yes. Okay. And I there's people that absolutely saw pink and white, and they would argue to their death that shoe was pink and white. now you could say, well, ultimately it was proven, that then they showed it that shoe was pink and white. But I'm still not going to take away the fact that the people that saw teal and gray saw teal and gray, and to this day they're going to believe that. And religion's a lot like that. They're going to see something that you may not see. That I do see, and it doesn't mean that I'm wrong or you're wrong. We see things differently, and I think that it needs to be an understanding that you're not going to agree on things because people perceive things to be different.
That big bingo. I agree. So now, okay, now and you could be right about this. Did you allude to that the shoe is actually pink and white? Because that could.
I saw both. I was able to see both, so that makes me the chosen one.
Yes, you are. I didn't. Now, has it been because you can test that to see if it is pink or white or teal and green. That's very doable.
Oh yeah. I think it was proven that it came out that they said no, the shoe was pink and white. But that's that even though you didn't see that, you still believe what you saw.
Exactly.
And I would have a hard time convincing you that shoe was pink and white because you saw it as teal and gray.
Except if I was honest, I'd have to say, I'm proven to be colorblind. So maybe that shoe is. I think as someone mentioned in the comments, maybe that shoe was just an indicator of your color of a certain kind of color blindness that you might have. Very well could be, but again, that's my reality. The colors I see are my reality. That's okay. What I see. So you're absolutely right. I think,
and even if we could take a step further, at that point in your life, you believe that shoe to be gray and white.
Yeah, and that suits me just fine. I mean, in all practical purposes, why would it? I guess I can come up with some scenarios where that would be important, but for a shoe, I guess why it's not a big deal. It's teal and gray to me. Oh well, I guess if you're looking at that's one of the reasons I couldn't be a pilot is because there's a lot of lights and colored lights that in runways and etc. And you better see the right color. So and there's some places where it does matter that you're colorblind or not. So and your perception does have to match with what everyone else says too. Otherwise, it's dangerous. But
who am I to say that somebody sees things differently than me or wrong?
I agree with you until they disagree with me, and then I have a hard time with that one. But I'm not the chosen one.
Well, yeah. If you have any questions for the chosen one, I'm here.
How's your wife doing? That's my question.
Actually, she, I thought yesterday I was gonna have to trade her in for a different model because it was damaged, but today she's looking a lot better.
No. I want to hear about the Rose story. Did you mention a Rose story recently?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
No?
Mm-mm. Oh, yes. That Rose story. I thought you were talking about our friend Rose.
No.
So actually, Christy, about a couple of days ago, she brought me out on the patio, and we've had this. It was a rose bush that we got. That was one of her moms that somebody had given to her at her mom's funeral, and we struggled. It's been in a pot for probably 10 years now, and it just never did well. I mean, at some point it almost looked like it was going to die, and the leaves were very, very small. And Christy has started, and not even brewing up your tea, but just mixing it in 2-gallon jugs and putting it in the sun, letting it sit overnight. And she's been watering outdoor plants with it. And within 2 or 3 days?
Yeah, it grew 18 inches.
It grew 18 inches in 2 or 3 days.
I have a picture.
She's got pictures.
Pop.
Pictures don't lie. Damn.
How about that?
And I sent it to my uncle.
And she sent it to her uncle, and now they want to get on the bandwagon because they're just astounded.
Well, I will send them samples. But thank you so much. That is I love those stories.
Yeah.
I have a magic elixir for plants, by the way.
Yeah, it's hey, I'm going to make this a proven fact, at least in this aspect. That Green Bicycles works on roses.
You can see right through me. Yes, it does. Thank you. Yeah, the show is being brought to you by Green Bicycles for the 3 people who are watching it right now. I should have done that story when we were at peak viewership at 10.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to break 20.
Your mom broke 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And your mom's birthday, it was 23 or something. No, she brought the numbers in. I got to get your mom on here more often.
Yeah, maybe she should do a show.
Oh, I wish she would. I'm begging people, help me. I've done this over a month now. Come on now, Pete. Come on,
Yeah.
Pete. Let's
Just commenting on yours and Joe's dialogue with the extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
You can almost replace UFOs for religion and almost come up. What you'd be asking pretty much for the same. You'd be asking for the same belief system almost.
Okay, hold that thought because we've gone an hour. We've gone almost 2 hours and 15 minutes. We're going on a record long show, and I don't want to get anybody wound up and want to come on the panel, and because I'm getting tired of this for today, anyways.
Well,
So-
yeah. Well, let's keep that for another show.
I love that idea. Hey, thanks for coming on. Anything else
Okay.
you want to tell us, chosen one?
Yeah, no. Hey, yeah. Any questions for the chosen one? They can text them to me. I'll be happy to answer.
Okay.
Besides that, I talk to dead people too. So if you have any questions about that,
Yeah, I got a few. Actually, if you can talk to a dead person, I have a few questions I would love to ask them.
it's very limited who comes to me though.
Okay. That doesn't matter. I would like to know what's up. But all right, good night, David. Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
All right, let's just wrap this bad boy up. I think everyone's leaving in droves. The droves are leaving. The 5 people are leaving. Hey, take care. Thanks for watching. It's been fun. It's been real. It hasn't been real fun. And probably be on tomorrow. I don't see what's going to keep me on it. If I come on and you show up, you're encouraging me. So take care. Peace. Good night. And the broadcast, just like that.